Whatever rocks your socks, whatever spins your top, whatever winds your watch, whatever flips your flop, whatever turns you on, whatever flies your flag, whatever bangs your gong, or whatever swings your bag. Do it often, but do it well, 'cause nobody knows and there's no way to tell when the ride ends.
Hi, welcome back to Turtle Beach. I've been sick this week, sicker than I can remember being in many years. I don't think I've ever experienced a constellation of symptoms like this. I took a COVID test. It wasn't COVID. Maybe norovirus, maybe bird flu, swine flu, dengue fever, beriberi, cholera, low self-esteem, whatever. I was really sick this week. So I've had to push my hernia repair back. So we're going to try again. We're going to see if I can't get that hole in myself fixed. But I haven't had a cigarette in 5 days, so that's a nice thing. I've been watching an awful lot of YouTube videos because I couldn't leave the house. I was too sick to leave the house. I haven't been able to go to the vegetarian festival. I was disappointed I was going to miss the vegetarian festival because I was going to have surgery. Now I'm not going to have surgery, and I can't go to the vegetarian festival because it's a very intimate thing. You're shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, cheek by jowl with 1,000 people. So I don't want to go into that and have to wear a mask and put other people at risk. I also just didn't have the energy for it. I could barely get out of bed for a few days. But watching all those YouTube videos about Thailand, I have come to the realization that in the space of one generation, we have gone from a situation where if you had a neighbor who went to Cancun for spring break, they would come back with a box of slides of their trip. And in order to get friends and neighbors to come over to the house and watch the slideshow, they had to offer you dinner. They had to feed you dinner. And then after you had a nice dinner, you stuck around out of politeness and you had a little coffee and you watched their slideshow of their trip to Yucatan. Now, people put their slides of their stupid trip to the floating market or walking up Doi Sutap or whatever it is. This is my favorite bar on Walking Street. And they put that on YouTube, and tens of thousands of people voluntarily sit there and watch those images. They're no more interesting or compelling than the old slides of Yucatan ever were. But now, because they're in this international forum, I guess, they are lended gravitas, and people will sit there and watch these things without being fed a dinner, not even coffee. And then these guys expect you to pitch into their Patreon. For what? For what? So you went up Doi Sutap. So what? 1,000 other people did too today. You know, so you walk down Walking Street. So what? Some guy on the beach, some fat old guy saying, this is what you should pay for a street walker, a freelancer on Soy Bangla. Dude, the day I have to pay what you have to pay is the day I give it up. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how, but in the space of one generation, the entire paradigm has been turned on its head. Anyway, yeah, I hope this week was better to you than it was to me. While I was sick, what I discovered was when people drop by Boontongs, they expect to come inside and have a cup of coffee. Because I have said over and over, hey, if you're in town, right, drop in, have a cup of coffee. Whether or not Steve is deathly ill, people expect a cup of coffee and they expect to talk and tell me their stories, and that's fine, you know, for about half an hour. Longer than that, no, I typically don't have the strength for that when I'm healthy. I certainly don't have the strength for it when I'm sick. One day I had 5 people show up, 2 couples and a lone traveler. Man, I was making a lot of coffee that day. But here's something else I've noticed. A lot of newbies want to come visit Steve on Turtle Beach, and that's great. That's fantastic. If you have just recently discovered your love of Thailand, good for you. I've been there. We all been there. That honeymoon phase, that blissful honeymoon phase. But sometimes these guys show up, and you can tell they're headed for a fall, can't you? You've met these guys, right? Oh, she's not like these other women. Yeah, I can't be too specific because, these guys were just here, but sometimes you feel like going, whoa, dude, pump the brakes. Stop and think about what you're doing. Slow down. But we don't, do we? We don't, because that would be taking on a big responsibility. Now, all of a sudden, you're responsible for this guy and what happens. If he takes your advice and it still doesn't work out, if he drags his feet, he goes slow with this person, and it still doesn't work out, he's going to blame you. So, typically, we don't open our mouths. Also, it wouldn't matter. They don't listen to us. There's no talking a guy who's getting the first sex, maybe of his life. Getting the first good sex, regular sex, frequent sex, sex the way he wants it. For the first time in his life, you're not going to talk him out of that. You're not going to tell him, dude, don't believe 90% of anything she tells you, okay? Her daughter was in a motorcycle accident. Here's a picture of a Thai woman in a hospital bed with bloody knees. Yeah, don't believe that. I mean, it might be true. There's always a chance, I suppose, that it might be true. But no, more than likely, it's not true. It's not true at all. But we don't warn them off, do we? Listen, let me tell you a story. So, first time I came to Thailand as an adult, I met a woman named Gail on Phuket. I may have told this story before. I know I've told it in the book, Leaving Thailand. But it's apropos of this. I thought of it as I met particularly one of these guys this week. So I met Gail in a bar and we had a night together and it was a terrific night. And I went back. We're just like dogs pissing on a lamppost. If we like something, we go back, we go back, we go back. So I started living with Gail in her apartment at the barracks. And the barracks were just a big cinder block shed where the bars provided a bedroom for the bar girls. And typically there'd be 5-6 girls living in one of these places in a one-bedroom place, because if they could, they didn't spend the nights there. They slept somewhere else if they could. So it's just a place to leave their clothes and a place to spend a few days when they had their period and they couldn't work. But Gail had her own place there. She was a very successful woman. Within what defines success in that industry. And she and I lived together for 3 months, and then I had to go back to the States and go back to work. But I had decided that I was going to come back and live on Phuket for the rest of my life because it was so wonderful. I was going to give up a career in the movie industry that allowed me to eat lunch with movie stars every day, making $100,000 a year, $60,000 of that tax-free, putting every dime of it straight up my nose. I had a hell of a life in New York City, loved that life, and I was going to walk away from it to live with Gail in the barracks. And I did. Eventually I did. I went back to America for a year. I sent her 10,000 baht a month every single month while I was gone. And she went to hairdressing school and sent me photos of her graduating from hairdressing school. And I didn't tell her when I was going to come back. I told her, soon, it'll be soon, baby, soon. And at the end of a year, I had wrapped up all my affairs, done the last movies that I had commitments to, and I came back to Thailand to find, of course, that Gail had been shacking up with a German named Hans. And even so, Hans showed up at our door. I come to the barracks. She's not there. Her sister's living, someone she had introduced as her sister, is living in that room. And she said, "Oh, Steve, you're back. Gail's at the hospital." And I said, "Oh, well, let's go get her. Let's go." And she, no, I'll go. If a Falang goes, they want more money. So she goes, she brings back Gail. Gail was wearing the clothes from the bar last night. She's reeking alcohol from every pore. Tila, why you no tell me you come back? So that night, she threw me a party, a Steve Came Home party, and everybody drank themselves asleep on my living room floor, and I'm the only one sober because I don't drink. And I'm sitting there with a bamboo bong smoking pot, and there's this bang on the front door. And I jump up and I go, holding the bong like a weapon. I go to the front door and open it and shout, "What the fuck you want?" And there's this poor German guy sitting out there on a little motorcycle, and he's bleeding down his, somebody has just punched this guy hard in the face, and he's bleeding all down. And he's got another rock. He's been throwing rocks at the front door. And he says, "You're the boyfriend?" And I said, "Well, I guess," or I thought I was. "Yeah, I guess." "Tell Gail Hans love her. Tell Gail Hans love her too much." And at that moment, this guy came out. What the hell was his name? Leck, Noy, something. Our neighbor comes out on the porch. And it's about midnight, right? Maybe 1 in the morning. And there's a can of beach sand, a paint can with beach sand in it we used as an ashtray. And he picked up that can and he charges Hans, swinging that can over his head. And Hans guns it and tears out of there. Never saw Hans again. And the next door neighbor, what the hell was his name? He comes back up on the porch, and I said, "Who was that guy?" "Who?" He said, "That guy you just tried to kill with a paint can." He goes, "Who?" I don't know. Nobody, Steve. Just go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. No problem. Go back to sleep. So he was helping Gail. He was helping by chasing Gail away. Because his loyalty's to Gail, right? Not to me, of course. Who am I? I'm just another felon. So my point is, I continued to live with Gail for 6 more months. After she had introduced a girl who was obviously her daughter as her sister, after she had introduced a woman who was obviously her mother as her grandmother, after Hans showed up and threw rocks at the door, after all of that, after telling me to put her through hairdressing college and then having no interest in ever working as a hairdresser, I still lived with her for 6 months. And when that was over with, I hooked up with another woman. I bought her out of a bar on her 18th birthday, lived with her for 5 months and 10 days. And the Gulf War happened. I had to go back to the United States. This is all old news, also in several books. And turned out she found an Italian young man to fall in love with, and I ended up supporting both of them for most of a year. Not most of a year, no. She was faithful, I think, for most of a year, and then at the end, if I'd have come back probably a month or two sooner, I probably could have saved that relationship for whatever that was worth. But sent her after sending Gail money for a year from the States. I sent this other one money for a year from the States, and then I married a good girl who I didn't love, because I reckoned if I didn't love her, she couldn't hurt me. And she did. She damaged me for life. So even with all the warning signs, even with all the red flags, and I suppose all my friends telling me, "Steve, watch out," I still made all these mistakes. So these guys who come to me looking for, I think, validation of their lifestyle choices, they've decided to cash in their chips, pull up their stakes, fold up their tents, and come to Thailand to live. And they want reassurance that that's the right thing to do. I think for most people it probably is. I think almost anybody could benefit for a year from a year on Turtle Beach. But there is that gut feeling that you should warn them off. You should tell them, "Dude, you have nothing in common with this woman. You just met her online. You've only known each other for 3 or 4 days. You have committed to supporting her family, her children, her parents, buying her land, sending her kids to expensive schools. You've made all these commitments. You don't know anything about her. You don't speak her language. You can't understand when they're talking about you in front of you. You have no idea whether these are really her children she's introduced you to, whether the one she says is a cousin is maybe not actually her daughter, and she doesn't want you to know she's got a 20-year-old daughter, so she says, yeah, she's the 10-year-old's cousin. Whatever. I mean, dude, you don't know. You have absolutely no idea what's going on around you. You're still jet lagged. And you're going to make all these commitments. You're going to spend all this money. You're going to tell everybody back home, oh, man, I've sussed it out. I've won, right? I'm winning every day. I'm winning. And, dude, you know, you're going to end up like Steve. You're going to make all the mistakes. And hopefully you will learn from those mistakes. And hopefully she will leave you a little something, a little bit of money and a little bit of self-respect, so that you can pick up the pieces and carry on after she dumps you. Yeah, but at any rate, I don't see any profit at all in warning these guys off. So I don't. I just smile and nod and listen to their stories and look at my watch and think, when's he gonna leave, you know? All right, that's it. That's the news from Turtle Beach. Thank you for your attention. Like, subscribe, and share. I am very, very grateful to you. I love this time. This is the best day of my week. Next week, I don't know what's going on. Hopefully Monday. Friday, I meet the surgeon again. And if he wants to reschedule on Monday, he only works Friday and Monday because he's a surgeon. And hopefully I will get this hernia repaired on Monday. I don't know what that will mean for next week's video. But watch us on Grumpy Old Men. And, you know, if I miss a week, well, my goal for this channel was 52. My goal was 1 year, 52 videos. And I have managed that, plus a few. And maybe it's time to take a week off, or maybe it's time to do a video from a hospital bed in Panga. We'll find out. Anyway, like, subscribe, share. Thank you very much for your time. You have a terrific week. I love you guys. I really do. Bye-bye.
Whatever shaves your sheep, whatever bakes your lamb, whatever digs your peat, whatever smokes your ham, whatever blows your nose, whatever chews your bone, whatever squirts your hose, whatever sings your song. Do it often, but do it well. Nobody knows and there's no way to tell. When you're riding, shoot down to that